Good evening, everybody out there on YouTube Fragrance Land. Thanks for joining me again for another episode of Fragrance Reviewing. I'm your host, Stephen Sturgill. This is my channel. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you stay tuned in for the next several minutes, and then I'll aim to wrap it up a little quicker than I normally do. I'm learning that less is more, which is hard for me to to understand sometimes. But what are we looking at today, guys? Looking at this little bad boy, which I got at Sephora. That's not the bag. Let's see. Tom Ford Noir Anthracite. Got this bad boy at Sephora. Thank you, Sephora at Plano West. Thank you, lovely ladies. There's three of you, you know who you are, who helped me out. Were so very gracious and kind and made me little tiny decants so that I could have a pretty good sized tester. I did test it there at the site, both on paper and on my skin, and was absolutely floored with both of these fragrances. So the other one is, oops, this guy, Victor & Rolf's Spice Bomb Fresh, which we are not looking at in today's episode. Tune in either in the next one or one sometime in the near future for that. Now let's get into the notes. Would briefly like to take this time, though, for a moment of silence. And I'd like to say thank you, and just, may God bless both of y'all's families and all of y'all's families out there who have lost loved ones recently. I know here in the news, Barbara Bush, former First Lady Barbara Bush, just passed a few days ago. Vernon Troyer just passed, literally I think 2 days ago now, at the age of 49, who played Mini-Me amongst many other roles in Austin Powers. My heart goes out to the Troyer family, and I want to let you guys know how much joy he brought me, my family, and many friends that I have, and I'm assuming millions of fans around the world. Also to the DJ Avicii's family. I want to send you my heartfelt condolences, and just hang in there. And life is strange, and it sucks to die, but that's part of life. That's part of the equation that we're all born into. It mainly sucks for those who are left behind, in the sense that we miss them. Hopefully it doesn't suck for them. I'm not trying to be light and make light of that at all. I just, you got to find joy and humor somewhere. But at any rate, it's such a shame, but that's, got to just kind of move on together. And that's why it's important to take the time to tell someone special that you care about them, or hang out with someone. If you're not a verbally expressive person, just try to look in someone else's interest once in a while, and spend time with those that you do care about. If you don't care about anyone, you better find someone to care about quick. That's my honest, heartfelt advice to you. But okay, so moving on with the review. Sorry for that. I just thought it was important to get that out of the way. This dropped in 2017, and at least, well, there was some fanfare. There was some stuff in the frag.com, but for whatever reason, this doesn't seem to have stayed on the radar, if that makes sense. I heard personally very little about it myself. It's probably partly my fault, but at any rate, I just didn't know about it, or if I knew about it, I forgot about it. So we are looking at this bad boy today. Who designed it? Well, that's simple. It was the very famous and attractive French nose, Honorine Blanc. And this is a Chypre, which is, I believe, French for something like Cyprus. It's a fragrance classification which I believe, let's see. Yeah, so it's the name of a family of perfumes or concept. I would almost classify it as a classification family, rather, which are characterized by accords, or an accord composed of citrus top notes, a metal centered on cistus labdanum, excuse me. I always have trouble saying that, and a mossy animalic base note derived from oak moss. They fall into numerous classes according to their modifier notes, which include, but are certainly not limited to, leather, florals, fruit, and amber. And obviously, this has been a huge classification and much loved in the perfume world. Probably for more than, I don't know, 200 or 300 years, I'm guessing, at least, if not more than that. Let's see. According to Wikipedia, though, it doesn't go back more than about 1917, although I think that's highly debatable amongst professional perfume heads. But it is indeed French for the island of Cyprus. Its connection to perfumery originated with the first composition to feature the bergamot labdanum oak moss accord, Francois Coty's 1917 Chypre, now preserved at the Osmothèque, whose name was inspired by the fact that its raw materials came predominantly from Mediterranean countries. It inspired many descendants, becoming the progenitor of a whole family of related fragrances sharing the same basic accord, although perfumes of similar style had already been created throughout the 19th century. That's what I was alluding to, that this style overall had existed far back, way further back than 1917. But at any rate, moving on, that's not important. So interesting but unimportant. Okay, briefly about the nose. I don't want to spend too much time. Her work includes stuff like Juicy Couture's Viva la Juicy Noir, Estee Lauder's Amber Mystique, Beyonce's Heat Rush, Lover Dose with Olivier Cresp from Diesel, some stuff from the Erin collection, YSL's Black Opium, was this Yves Saint Laurent. She did Balmain's Vent Vert and Rochas Macassar. Just a lot of stuff, guys. A lot of stuff. She did some Vera Wang stuff. She's done a lot of Avon stuff. She did Alabaster for Women from Banana Republic. Some Bath and Body Works, Forever Red and Twilight Woods. For men, not as much. For men, guys, definitely not anywhere near as much. She did Encounter by Calvin Klein. She also did Coach Leatherwear, which dropped way back in 2009. That's one that I don't know if I ever got my nose on. I'm very curious to get my nose on that now. I think I did read a review online that said it wasn't that good, but I don't know. That's piquing my interest immediately. I tend to like, well, I don't say anything. I tend to like a lot of fragrances that are leather-based, but that doesn't mean I'm going to like that one, but I hope I like it. She did Jimmy Choo Fever for Women, and on and on and on. Quite the catalog. She did Black Leather as well for Mercedes-Benz. And that is a man fragrance. She also did a couple of Marc Jacobs's unisex fragrances, including Pear Splash and The Pear, which dropped in 2008 and 2016, respectively. Not in that order. I mean, Splash came first, The Pear, and then Pear Splash 2016 came later. And I don't know if that's sort of a newer formulation or a re-envisioning of the original. I have no idea. I'll look into that in the future if you guys want me to do that, or I might just do it anyway because I'm curious. Okay, moving on. Big shout out again to Sephora of Plano West. Thank you, ladies. The lovely three ladies that helped me and were so kind to give me these decant samplers. Again, which I smelled in the store. And again, if you stick around for the next episode or two, you may catch me reviewing this bad boy. Victor and Rolf's Spice Bomb Fresh. I was very impressed with this, but I'm not going to tell you all about it until you tune in to that episode. Let's get right into it. Don't want to waste any more time. Oh, before I do that, what are the notes? They are opening, I know for a fact, with bergamot. Then I believe the heart is spices. It doesn't list any delineation. There's no distinction. And, they're I mean, at least on that other website. However, I take that back. I think I just did find what at least some of the spices are. There is some Sichuan pepper and ginger in here. And there are indeed unmentioned spices. It doesn't say what they are. And floral notes. It doesn't say what those are either. And base notes, sandalwood, cedar, and ebony. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, this is spectacular. So, there we go. Bam, bam. I better not spray the next. I may be doing another review shoot here in a second. I don't want to get all... Wow. You get the bergamot immediately with the ginger and Szechuan peppers, quite strong. Florals are coming through now. Cedar's coming through now quite prominently, even though that's in the base. I don't know for sure if I'm smelling ebony because I'm not that attuned to what ebony is supposed to smell like, if that makes sense. Just one more blast. Okay, 2. I lied. The floral's quite strong. The bergamot's quite prominent. Szechuan pepper is piquant and bright. It's very different from Western pepper, although it shares some kind of similarity at the core. I can't describe that, just that little peppery, sharp pungency, if you will, but they don't smell anything alike, if that makes sense. There's almost a hint of lime in here, guys. I mean, I swear I'm getting just the tiniest touch of lime. Did they mention citrus was in here? I don't know if they did. That's strange. It doesn't mention citrus, but I'm positive I'm getting some lime or something like lime in here. Ginger's there, but it's dialed quite far back in the mix, or at least it's blended so well. I'm not intending to infer that it's tiny or insignificant. It's just blended so well that it doesn't stand out of its own accord. There is a creamy softness to this, but at the same time it's very fragrant and sort of lush. I wouldn't call it a beast mode projector if I'm about right here. I smell it quite prominently, about an inch off the skin. I'm sure if a breeze wafted through, I would smell it more easily, but this is not a projection powerhouse. But at the same time, I feel like it's going to be somewhere between a skin scent and a scent and bubble that will probably last. Scent bubble maybe first 2 to 3 hours, and then the skin scent another 4 to 6, I'm guessing, set to play it safely. It may last longer than that, guys, but for my olfactory senses, what I'm looking for in terms of projection, I tend to subtract 2 to 3 hours from most reviewers' claims, if that makes sense, because frankly, they're not going to project to the degree that I am looking for, if that makes sense. So I cannot agree with most reviewers out there that claim that, oh, this fragrance and that fragrance, oh, it's a projection powerhouse, or it kind of upsets me when they say stuff like, projection and longevity were average, and I got at about 7 to 8 hours. Really? You really got active projection for 7 to 8 hours? I find that so impossible to believe for most frags, because I'm not getting active projection, even on beast mode projection. Well, with a few exceptions. Let me rephrase that. With scents and perfumes or colognes or eau de toilettes, it doesn't matter if it's an extrait de parfum. I tend not to get projection past what I call active projection, past about 4 to 6 hours, even for beast mode frags, right? With just a few exceptions that I could probably count on, maybe on one hand, at the most on 2. Most really good frags, I'm not getting past 4 to 6. And then after that, it's somewhere between a tiny scent bubble or just flat out a strong, nice skin scent, if that makes sense. And you say, well, what's a strong skin scent? Well, it's one that as you get closer and closer to the skin, it's very easy to detect. A very, very shallow and soft and watery skin scent. You'd have to get your nose right up on the skin, and you'd have to actively and intently and intensely try to smell it, and you probably would, but it would take that kind of effort to really, really get more than a couple of notes that are still there lingering. So I'm not looking to spend hard-earned cash or payola or dinero or whatever you want to call it, money at the end of the day, on scents that don't last longer than an hour or two. As far as active projection, then I expect that scent bubble or skin scent to be somewhat smellable for the next 4 to 6 hours after that point. So I'm getting a total of about 7 to 10 hours of total coverage, just in general. Of course, there are some beast mode frags out there that you can wake up the next morning and still smell it. That's fantastic. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the average, good, fairly long-lasting perfume or cologne, of which, let's be honest, guys, most freshies will never make the cut if you're looking at something that will actively project past even, say, the 2 hour mark. They're just not, it's just not in their DNA makeup, unless they have some kind of very strong fixative or a strong musk base or something with oud or something with patchouli and again have a higher oil concentration, then maybe they'll squeak in. But it's very rare for those top notes like lemon, lemon zest, lime, all these kind of light florals to stick around past 3 hours. They just tend not to. Anyways, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent. Oh my God. But this is just so sublime. It's elite. I don't know if the camera can pick up that there's just a little light oil sheen on my skin there, which shows that those oils haven't simply vaped off, leaving a tepid trail of scent that doesn't stick around. This is, oh my God, this is just so good. What does it remind me of? Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I have smelled one or two really, really high dollar soaps that have some of this in their DNA. It's just a very rich, creamy, slightly gingery, nutty floral with just a hint of the musk. I don't know where that's coming from, but I could swear this has like some kind of white musk in it at the very, very base or in the heart note. To me, I'm getting a definitely picking up on some kind of musky scent. I don't know if that's true musk or if it's just a combination of some of these other, elements blending along with that cedar, perhaps, and sandalwood. But whatever it is, it's just spectacular. This is an elite scent, guys. This is a signature scent. I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of the all-time greatest fragrances in the history of perfume. It is. I want to give a heartfelt thanks to Honorine. You, my fine lady and fantastic nose, you have hit, as we say in America, a home run or a slam dunk. I know you play a lot of soccer over there in France and around the world. You have definitely hit a goal. You've kicked it through into the net. And this is so spectacular a concoction. This is something that if I were the nose of, I would go to my dying bed, knowing that I brought to life a true classic and something that just smells divine, sensual, complex, layered. It has dimension, it has depth. It's fragrant. It's not, to me, it's not off-putting in the least. It's attractive, it's sensual. I think you could probably wear this to any occasion, but having said that, I don't know why you would wear it to work unless you work in a high-powered elite environment, or something that has a high degree of sophisticated clientele, and where your environment is also quite sophisticated. Outside of that, and if you work, and I'm not trying to throw shade, there's no shame in your game, but if you work at a burger joint making burgers, or frying French fries, don't waste your money wasting such a glorious cent going to work unless you just maybe own the joint and this is how you choose to rock it. So, date night, absolutely. Formal occasion, absolutely. I would say, however, though, that I think this is definitely a little bit more mature than what I would call youthful frags. This is not an 18-year-old's go-to cologne or parfum in the least. This screams to me 25 minimum, unless you are just already, again, as I say, quite mature. So we're going to wrap it up on that, guys. I did not mean to run overtime. I apologize. I wanted to keep it a bit shorter. Don't think I quite achieved that at all. But until next time, keep doing what you're doing, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you. Wouldn't be here doing this if it weren't for you guys. And as I try to share my personal heartfelt opinions on what you can put your nose on and see if you like it or not. You are the ultimate judge. Spray often, spray well. Live life on your terms, not someone else's. Peace, and until the next episode, bye.